Welcome back. We already have this beautiful animation made, and in the last tutorial we add animation to our logo by changing its position over time. In this tutorial you're going to add a visual effect to the background video. The kind of effects that you can add to this video are endless, so let's just add a simple blur effect to start. In the timeline panel, select the summary video. That means I'm going to click it right here, okay? In the application menu at the top of the screen or the top menu, choose Effect, then select Blur and Sharpen, and then select Fast Box Blur. Your video isn't blurry yet, but that's normal. You will adjust the setting in the next step, okay? The effect has been added to the summary video layer, and the Effect Controls panel also open a tab next to the project panel, the one that you see right here to your left. Now, adjusting the effect settings isn't that complicated. You can adjust the settings of any effect you add from the Effect Controls panel or the Timeline panel. For this example, you're going to work in the Timeline panel. Let's adjust the effect settings to create a blur effect. So what are we going to do? We're going to come here below and we're going to expand the Summer Forest video layer by clicking on the arrow to the left of the layer name to reveal the effects, transform, and audio settings. I'm going to do it with you, so the video is going to be quite slow, but I'm going to be explaining everything, okay? Now, expand the effects options of the Summer video layer and then expand the Fast Box Blur effect. So it means I'm going to come here and click it, okay? In the Fast Box Blur Effect settings, find the blur radio. I'm going to open this one too. The blur radio is right here. And set it to 25. 25 I guess is okay. By changing the blur radio from 0 to 25, you're going to blur the background video. So I'm going to write down here 25 and press enter. Now you can see the blur background right here. Now we're going to add some keyframes to animate effects. Let's gradually apply the blur effect to the Summer Forest video so that the video becomes blurry when the logo appears on screen. So the first thing that we have to do is to make sure that the current time indicator is at the 1 second mark where the logo stops moving at the center of the screen. Remember that it was right here. Here is when it stops, right? Now, under the Fast Box Blur setting, find the blur radio setting and click the stopwatch to the left. This one. You should see a little blue diamond. If you completed the previous animation tutorial, you'll know this diamond is called a keyframe. By adding a keyframe, you just told After Effects that you wanted to remember the blur radius value in 25 at the current time when the logo stops moving. After Effects stores all this information in the keyframe, okay? So you see here the keyframe. Now, we're going to change effects over time. In the previous step, you set the value when the effect stops changing. Now you must set the value when it starts changing. So how are we going to do it? Move the current time indicator to the beginning of the composition. Under the Fast Box Blur effect, change the blur radio to 0, okay? 0. Look again in the timeline panel at the blur radio row where the current time indicator is. You should see that there's a new keyframe that was added. Now press the spacebar to see how After Effects applied the visual effect over time using the keyframes you just set. You saw the background video become gradually more blurry as the logo flew in from the bottom of the screen, right? Now, we can add multiple effects. How are we going to do it? Let's add one final effect to our background video to make our composition even more visually interesting. In the Time panel, select the Summer Forest layer to make it your active layer. This is the one that's already selected perfectly. In the Application menu at the top of the screen, choose Effect. Then, let's see, I don't have it right now selected. I'm going to Effect. Then I'm going to select Distort. And then I'm going to select an effect, Mirror. Mirror is fine. Remember that you can't see the mirror effect yet, but that's normal. you will adjust the setting in the next step. The effect has been added to the summary video layer, and the settings for the effect were also added to the effect control panel. Let's change the mirror effect on the background video over time. In the effect control panel, right here to your left, you're going to find the reflection center setting under the mirror effects, okay? We're going to change it. How are we going to change it? Well, we're going to click it here, and then we're going to move the target and define like the center of the logo in the composition panel, okay? Now let's see, and let's play the video so we can see the effect. When you play the composition to see the effect applied to the background video, you're going to find out that the mirror effect has now been applied at the center of the composition panel. So great job! You just learned how to add and adjust visual effects in your composition. Next, you're going to learn how to export your project as a video, and we're going to finish our first video, okay? Now, how are we going to do it? We're going to do something that is called rendering. The final step of creating the animated logo is to render the composition. When you render your project, you're telling After Effects to take all the information about your composition, like layer order, effect settings, and process it to make a movie file, okay? In the application menu or the tab menu, choose composition, add to render queue, and your composition hasn't rendered quite just yet. Before you finish, you need to check its export settings in the render queue. So I'm going here to the bottom. I have two files because I made this before, and it had I had like a copy, okay? But you're going to have only one file when you're doing it. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to be sure to select where it says render settings, select best settings, output model, be sure to select lossless. Then let's go where it says output to, click the blue text that you have right here. This is when you have the opportunity to save the movie like in QuickTime.mov extension or format. And in my case, I'm going to save it again with another name. And I'm going to put it like save. But guess what? You still need to click the render button that you have right here. So I'm going to click it. Now your composition is in the process of rendering right now. You can track its progress with the blue progress bar at the top, this one that you have right here. When it finished, you've successfully created your first animated logo, and this concludes the Learning About Basics tutorial series. And of course, we're going to have more exercise because I need you to practice and be a better professional. So take care, and I hope you enjoy it.